Alrighty, let's do this. Good morning, everybody.
Yes, sir. Good morning.
How are you, Jack Matlante?
I'm good, sir. How are you?
Very, very well. I'm good. I'm feeling strong. I'm motoring on like an hour and a half of sleep, but you know what? It's nobody else's problem. It's my problem.
Yeah.
Don't know why. Can't explain it. Stupid.
We still have a job to do, right?
Yeah, so I'm not gonna let the team down because I'm feeling a bit tired. Got to get on with it. We've got things to do, people to see, places to go.
Yes, indeed.
Yeah, we really do have a jam-packed show for you this morning. We've got the window seat coming up with travel.co.za. We're going to be talking about a bunch of really cool stuff with them, and that actually means places to go. That'll be 6:45. We've also got a little Democracy 101 for you. And we're going to be joined by our friend Jaco Voigt from Catalytic and a little special on Unbundled, which he's going to be giving us this morning. He's bringing some people to come and chat to us about some new things that are going on there with Cisco community programs. So loads of stuff to do. And hopefully everybody is up and at 'em this morning. So what's been happening with you, man? I haven't caught up with you since last week. Yeah. And there was a long weekend. Supposedly there was a long weekend. And I hear there's another one coming up.
There is another one coming up. The one that happened last week was supposed because a lot of people still had to pull up to work on Friday.
Yeah, but, that's very stupid.
Yeah, thankfully for some of us, we actually did have a long weekend. Yeah, I didn't really get up to too much. Spent most of it indoors. I was in Pretoria for a bit as well.
Very good.
Visiting family. So all in all, it was a good weekend. But I think the one thing that I'll take away from this weekend is some of the personal growth that I got to indulge in.
What's that?
So at some point I'd stopped journaling.
You can't just drop that into the conversation and expect us to move on. So
yeah.
Now we need details.
Yeah, at some point I had stopped journaling. So I'm a person that enjoys writing my thoughts down and, reflecting on certain things. So I had stopped because of, life just got a bit too hectic. A whole lot of shit was going on. There was stuff to do. So I got sidetracked by that. But over this past weekend, I actually took some time to sit down, write my thoughts and think about how this year is going to play out. Considering the fact that it's March, which is the first quarter, it's done. Now I have to adopt a new habit. So I divide the year up.
Really, the first quarter of the year done?
It's done.
Oh my God.
It is completely done. The moment you start hearing Easter and stuff, just know that the first quarter of the year is done. It's finished.
Fine, fair enough.
So yeah, I've sorted out the first quarter. I'm good. And moving forward, there's a couple of new things that I want to add, specifically going to gym.
All right. Well, I got to say that I really think the journaling is a good thing.
Yeah.
I have never been, I tried it once, I bought myself a nice book.
Yeah.
This is years ago. It was probably when I was 23 or something. I thought, let me try this. It's never going to be me.
Yeah.
No, so I kept a pretty good journal for, I don't know, maybe 3 weeks. And then it just fell by the wayside. So my sister's boyfriend is religious about it, does it every day. And he mostly writes down things that he's grateful for.
Yeah.
Things that have happened that he's, he found interesting, whether they're good or bad.
Yeah.
It's kind of his dialogue with himself. And I think it's excellent.
It's amazing.
I think it's very good for you. I think it's good to have those kind of conversations with yourself.
Yeah.
And I think people miss out on a lot if they don't have that.
True. And it's such a cool marker of where you've come so far. Because every now and again, I'll skip back to a couple of months and read just one random entry. And more often than not, I come across things that were a bit of a struggle at that point in time.
Right.
But with reflection, it's like, oh my goodness, you actually conquered. And
that's a good thing, right?
Yeah, if you ever need a pat on the back from time to time, perhaps you should be the person to pat yourself on the back.
Well, no one else is going to do it.
Yeah, definitely.
Let's be honest and realistic about that. No one else is sitting there waiting to give you a pat on the back.
Nah, you have to be your own champion.
So that's very good. Okay, and you're very disciplined about this?
I'm disciplined about it again, for sure. I fell off, truthfully, around last year, November. But now that I'm back on the train, I'm not getting off. I can see the fruits already.
I think that's amazing.
Yeah,
it really is. That's superb.
It's great.
Yeah, I kind of I envy people who can. I've given it a serious try, and I also just don't think, for me, I think the show kind of fulfills that role in some ways.
Yeah.
I talk about everything that's going on, and some of it's to do with my life, but a lot of it is just observations of what's going on in the world, stuff that's in the news that I'm thinking about, things that are making me happy or things that are making me sad.
Sure.
There's enough there. I'd have to do a written journal as well.
Some people actually don't write at all. They just do short video clips. So they'll sit down in front of.
Who's ever gonna watch those?
You do it for yourself. Beyonce used to do it all the time. Apparently,
really?
Yeah. I saw a documentary a couple of years ago where the bulk of it was just her sitting in front of her laptop, expressing her thoughts and her feelings and all of this stuff.
God.
So some people use that approach. I mean, technology does help. You know what I mean?
It's a kind of therapy.
It is.
Self-care.
Yeah.
Okay, and you're going to go to gym now, which is awesome.
Yeah, that is a big part.
I managed to squeeze that in yesterday, so I'm not feeling completely useless.
Oh, okay.
Well, whatever you're up to and however you are managing your life at the moment, don't feel bad if you're not getting it all right, because who the hell does?
I mean, life is a process. It's like if you have reached your destination in life, we must somehow buy you a coffin.
Talk about destinations. Nick says, great morning. Made my last car payment today.
Shout out.
Happy Tuesday in Taiwan. That's
yes,
awesome.
Sir. Congratulations, Nick.
And Sugar Shabalala says P. Diddy was arrested.
Finally.
Jesus.
That deviant.
A lot has happened overnight, hey?
Yeah, a lot.
Tasneem says we have a ceasefire. Is that in Gaza?
I wonder.
Huh. That's very interesting. If that's all happening, we've got a lot's
going on.
Jesus.
My word.
Well, there's also this, which I must quickly refer to because I didn't get to it yesterday. So Snahi says, I'm here to remind you to tell us the behind-the-scenes story on the Jane Dutton interview with Douglas Murray. You forgot yesterday. Well, I was with him. We went to Prime Media to record the Eyewitness News interview, which has now gone viral. I saw 3 different versions of it that had all had to come from the file that I sent to Douglas. So 3 million views minimum already.
Yeah.
And counting.
Yep.
And it's getting a lot of attention.
Mm-hmm.
Anyway, I don't know that they ever played it on Eyewitness News.
The entire thing?
No. I messaged the CEO, said, hey, that interview we did? Can we have it? Because I don't know whether you guys have broadcast it. And he sent it to me.
Okay.
So I then sent it on, and then it took on a life of its own.
Yeah.
So that's the whole story. There's not too much else other than it was really fun to watch live because it was totally unexpected.
Yeah.
I had said to Douglas beforehand, it's probably going to be a fairly routine, run-of-the-mill thing. Yeah. I don't think there's going to be any, serious aggression. Well, was I wrong?
Wow.
And he didn't need much prep, and I didn't give him any. So he went in with his boxing gloves on.
Yeah, I mean, and it's a great thing that he can stand his own, right? It's not like he needed your assistance at all.
No, he needed nobody.
Yeah.
It was unbelievable. And then afterwards, but the funny thing is, I don't understand these news journalists. And again, I don't know Jane. It's the first time I met Jane Dutton, and I certainly don't have an axe to grind with her.
Sure.
In fact, I know she was on Al Jazeera before, but she was so friendly when we walked in. Hi, how are you? Really nice. And then as soon as the cameras rolled,
that's when it flipped. Yep.
And then as soon as the cameras were off, she was sweet again. I thought, what is this? If you come into my studio, I'm not horrible to you before and then nice to you during, or vice versa.
Yeah.
It's like, try and be the same with people. Maybe it's a thing. I don't know.
It's that whole clickbait thing. So when Douglas was here, we did the Soweto tour, and straight after that, we had an amazing lunch at an establishment called 1947. So
I heard it was superb.
It was delicious. So while we were there, we had a conversation with some of the guests that Pumi had invited, and during the conversation, sensationalism took the forefront.
Okay.
And I am genuinely of the opinion that this started with O.J. Simpson. And I'll tell you why, Gareth. Before O.J. Simpson, there was no 24-hour news channels. After O.J. Simpson,
Yeah,
that's when 24-hour news channels showed up.
you were not wrong.
And as a result, news, I don't want to say journalists, I'll say news anchors have got somewhat of a business decision to make while they're doing these interviews. The more incendiary, the more volatile and all of these things, the more clicks you get. Yeah.
It's clickbait, like everything that happens online.
Yep. So,
and people know if you want to win that game, you have to join the clickbait game.
Yeah. If you're not pandering to people's emotions, you're just not going to get that many views. You're not going to get views. It's that simple.
Yeah.
We've gotten to a point whereby if, the sky is not falling down, no one cares.
Right.
Which is a scary reality.
No, you're absolutely right. And I think it's an interesting discussion. It's one that I've often thought about because I had a long conversation with Leanne yesterday about, kind of what is true and what is not.
Yeah.
And how you just can't trust the news the way that you once did. And maybe we were just really naive before. But it seems to me that there is a lot of this sensational stuff. And also, there's no neutral middle of the road news. Maybe there never was. But these days, it's so clear that if you watch certain channels, if you listen to certain channels, if you pay attention to certain people online, you will get the stuff that confirms your already held beliefs.
Yeah.
And that's what people want.
Mm-hmm.
They don't want to be challenged. Very few people in the world want to hear from the other side.
And it's so weird to me because it's like,
worse than ever.
It's like, how else do you grow? How else do you learn if you're just listening to the same thing?
I don't know, Jack. Don't ask such complicated questions.
Oh my God. You would swear God gave us brains.
Yeah.
All right.
Yeah.
You would think that along the line we would use this unbelievably complex,
this brilliant
thing, and would use it to the best of our ability. But no.
By the way, Slippery Pickle is bringing up that video that's doing the rounds of Cyril Ramaphosa saying they gave me a medal for doing nothing, which is so funny because I also reposted it yesterday. I was like, what the hell? What did they give him a medal for? It doesn't matter because he didn't earn it.
Yeah, he clearly didn't.
And then Dusty Nose says it's fake news. Diddy has not been arrested. His house
was raided by the FBI. Yes.
Well, what do you think they're going to find there?
I don't think they're trying to find anything. I think there's a possibility they might try to hide a couple of things.
What?
Yeah.
Why would they hide stuff?
So
explain this to me, conspiracy theorist.
Here we go. This is my conspiracy theory. Okay. So you know how?
Hang on. This episode of Catching Up with the Diddy Story is brought to you by Jack McLeod.
Thank you very much. So here's how I view this thing. Right. So over the past couple of months, we all know that Diddy has faced allegations of sexual misconduct and all of this other shit.
Pretty bad ones.
Yeah, horrific. But he has somehow taken the space of Jeffrey Epstein in the music industry. He comes across as the person that facilitates all of these things so that he could have blackmail dirt on certain musicians. Like, for argument's sake, Candace Owens brought up the fact that she had a chat with T.I. Before they did this panel. And then when he got onto the panel, he was a completely different person than the person he was when she had spoken to him on the phone, which made her wonder who has got what on him, which then opened up a can of worms. So I'm a major Candace Owens fan.
Yeah.
And
okay, so also she's been fired from the Daily Wire, which I see is making a lot of news. And I honestly don't know anything about it, and I haven't really paid attention. Over the weekend, I saw those news stories. What do we know about that? So Candace Owens, let's just stick to that for a second.
All right. So with Candace, from her mouth, for the past 2 years, she has been harassed and maligned by a rabbi and his daughter. So Rabbi Shmuley and his daughter.
Shmuley Boteach, that famous rabbi.
That guy.
Oh, wow.
So they've been coming after her for being quote unquote anti-Semitic. And she hasn't said anything in 2 years. So for the first time, she actually responded to some of these attacks. And she called out the fact that Rabbi Shmuley and, Rabbi Shmuli's daughter, is selling sex toys.
Oh my God.
Like butt plugs and all of this other stuff. So
wow, the plot gets thicker.
Yes, it does. And so once Candace found out about this, she went on her show and called them out and said,
like, what you doing selling butt plugs?
Butt plugs. In fact, Rabbi Shmuley helps the daughter to sell some of these things online.
Hey, we'll have to make a living.
Yeah. What a shitty way to make a living. But anyway.
Sure.
So she called them out for doing this. And the words that she used was that Rabbi Shmuley is an unholy rabbi and he's hag daughter. This is what she had to say.
Hag.
And then a bunch of other Jewish people decided to start shitting on her and all of this stuff.
Jesus.
She actually did an interview. It's about an hour and 45 minutes with a different rabbi by the name Rabbi Barclay. And what I got from the interview was that, firstly, that man is extremely condescending. He wrote this entire article about what this woman supposedly said. And when they went through it point by point, there was no evidence to support what he was saying. Like, none at all. He didn't apologize. He kept on calling Candace an anti-Semite because in his mind, if you can't tell a black person when something racist happened to them, that was his argument. So he's of the thinking that Jewish people are the only people that can point out when something is anti-Semitic. He couldn't even define the
term. Which is ludicrous.
It is.
You know, everybody can tell if something's racist.
Of course.
You don't have to be black to tell if something's racist. And you don't have to be Jewish to know if something's
anti-Semitic. Thank you.
I agree with all of that.
So at the beginning of that conversation, she asked him, what is anti-Semitism? And he went into the 14th century, the 16th, and all of this stuff and all the horrific things that have happened to Jewish people, and went on to say that the term mutates. The hate mutates.
It does. That's fair.
And as a result, you can't define it in one flat out sentence, which is kind of weird to me because it's almost as if that means you can pick and choose whenever you feel like it what anti-Semitism is.
I think there is a valid argument to make about the fact that it is difficult to pin down, and
sure,
the way that can be explained. And I really didn't feel we needed to go into a conversation about this in the morning, but since it's going on, it's like so people hated the Jews once because they were religious. Then they hated them because they were secular. Then they used to hate them because they were poor. They were living in ghettos. That's where the word comes from. Then they hated them because they were rich. Then they hated them because they were assimilating too well into the cultures which they had joined. And then they hated them because they weren't assimilating well enough.
Right.
Then they hated them because they didn't have a state before Israel was proclaimed a state. And then as soon as Israel was a state, then they hated them because they had a state.
Right.
So that's what I think is meant by, and I've heard this argument before about how it morphs, and that does make sense.
It does.
But the definition is quite simple. It's Jew hatred.
That's it.
That's what it is. And the definition for racism is hating someone on the basis of their race, their ethnicity.
How it manifests.
This is not complicated.
How it manifests changes, sure. But you can't then say you can't necessarily define it just because it mutates.
Yeah.
That makes no sense.
No, so that's grasping a little.
Yeah. So ultimately at the end of it all, because of this back and forth between Candace and certain people within the Jewish community, it seems her and the Daily Wire are parting ways.
It's sad because I thought that was a good combo.
Yeah, I really thought so too.
And I think it worked very well for the Daily Wire, and I thought it worked very well for Candace.
Yes, it did. Yes, it did.
All right. Well, tough titties, that's over.
Yeah, that's how the cookie crumbles.
Got to move on.
Yep. But I have a lot of faith in her ability to keep going. She doesn't necessarily need the Daily Wire.
Yeah, she'll make it.
She'll make it. She'll be fine. And her commentary is always great. I died of laughter watching her on The Breakfast Club. Like, the hosts of that part of that show are so ill-informed that it's shocking whenever someone brings something up to them. It's like...
I want to go back to Diddy for a second because you didn't finish the Diddy stuff.
Oh, yeah. Let me get back to Diddy.
There's so much crazy shit going down here.
madness.
I need to really wrap my head around all of this. So sorry, as you were saying.
Right. So Diddy ascended to, certain heights within the hip hop within the music industry, right? And he's been said to throw these freak off parties.
What's that?
It's this party where all rules are like thrown out the window. Okay.
Oh, so like orgies and Sodom and Gomorrah,
all of this stuff.
Okay.
So apparently Diddy used to do this all the time, and there's tons of videos on YouTube.
What else are you gonna do if you're a famous rapper?
See what I mean? So he uses some of the things that happen at these parties as blackmail to get certain people to do certain things that go along with certain, beliefs that he has. Okay. It's been said that Diddy has offered certain people even awards. Like, look, if you work with us on this record, you'll win record producer of the year at the Grammys. How is he in a position to offer that? No one knows.
So it's suspicious.
It's very suspicious. There's a lot of questions everywhere. And I feel like these are just my thoughts. Mind you, truth be told, I've never liked Diddy, ever. I put him and R. Kelly in the same corner, honestly
I've
speaking.
never had a problem with him, but I've never looked at it in the kind of detail that you are. So.
No.
Right.
The thing is, I'm a major Tupac fan, and I know the role that he played in Pac's death. So from that moment, it was like, screw this guy. Like, he can go to hell for all I care. So
90s rap battles still continue.
Still continue. Yeah, it's a real thing. Tupac changed my life, Gareth. I'm being dead serious, man.
I'm with you.
So, man. Yeah, man. When you look at all this entire web, how it all comes together, the picture becomes so clear that it's all about money and keeping power, and essentially people living the lives that they want to live with no repercussions whatsoever.
And these are dodgy, dangerous people that you don't think should be allowed to just carry on doing what they do.
No, they shouldn't. They should not be allowed.
Okay.
They need to start building prisons under prisons for certain people.
Prisons under prisons.
Yes.
All right. Sure. There's a lot to take in. Holy shit. All right. Well, that's a hell of a way to start the morning. I mean, I wasn't expecting all of this excitement.
Oh, man. The world is crazy, and I'm just here to comment on it. That's it.
Here's the story.
I'm watching the freak show.
In case you haven't had enough of that, here's what they said. Homeland Security have raided P. Diddy's house. 2 properties have been searched by federal agents as part of an ongoing sex trafficking investigation. His homes in Los Angeles and Miami were searched by officers. In a statement, Homeland Security said it was executing law enforcement actions as part of an ongoing investigation. Sky's U.S. partner, NBC News, understands several phones were seized from Combs in Miami before he was scheduled to depart on a trip to the Bahamas.
Okay.
According to NBC News, 3 women and a man have been interviewed by federal officials in relation to the sex trafficking investigation. So that's one weird and screwed up thing. I don't know if you've seen, because I used to mostly, when people started talking about like the whole of Hollywood is some big Satanist cult where everybody's just selling each other into slavery, and and then what's his name? Harvey Weinstein came along, and then Jeffrey Epstein came along, and now P. Diddy's come along. And I don't know if you saw this documentary. I haven't watched it yet, but I've seen some of the stories that have come from it online. This thing with Nickelodeon.
Quiet on Set.
Yeah, this is all about how these kids were abused.
Yep.
By these pedophiles and these perverts at Nickelodeon. And one of them was a guy who was like the executive producer
or something like that.
Yeah, or the dialogue coach or something. And it's like, this stuff has clearly been going on.
It has.
It wasn't, again, you never know what's conspiracy theory and what's truth. And now, turns out, like, all these kids, Miley Cyrus, who's the other one who they keep talking about? That other...
I actually haven't checked it out. So
Amanda Bynes.
Oh,
that's her name. All of these people are like, they've basically been part of this gross, weird Hollywood thing.
Yeah.
And now there's more evidence that would suggest that this is true than evidence that would suggest it is not.
There you go.
Right? I mean, it's just gross.
It's unbelievably gross.
And this is all happening right under our noses.
Yeah. And I think in the past, we didn't have too many ways of getting information.
Yes.
So we were called conspiracy theorists back then because we had no way to prove it. But now there are multiple people with indictments of the same kind of crime, right?
Mm-hmm.
You've gone down the list. Epstein, Weinstein, R. Kelly, not forgetting him.
Oh my God, yeah.
Diddy as well.
We left R. Kelly out of it.
Can you oh my goodness.
What a creepy is.
It's disgusting. Absolutely disgusting.
Do you think that this is a thing that, famous people in Hollywood, like you said, they get away with everything?
Yeah.
So they just keep trying to get away with everything.
Yeah.
Is that basically what it is?
I think it is. And because of the money that they represent, a lot more people are willing to help out in hiding some of these things. They get awards if they help Diddy. There you go.
Awards.
There was a story that came out last week about how allegedly Diddy shot someone dead in a bathroom. And
Jesus,
they covered that up too.
You get away with that?
He apparently got away with that. It was apparently the police in New York. This is allegedly. They also had a bit of a hand in this. One of the first responders, there you go, had a hand in this. They somehow flipped the story and Diddy got off scot-free. So when you get away with things like murder,
that's whack.
What's a little sexual assault if I can kill somebody and get away with it? It's madness.
Jesus.
Madness.
Okay, so tell me about Selena Gomez, because I see she's in the news again. And first of all, what has happened to her?
That's what I asked myself.
Isn't Selena Gomez meant to be this beautiful? Wasn't she the most followed person on social media for a little bit there?
Once upon a time.
Right?
Yeah.
And what's happened to her?
I have no idea. I saw this picture circulating on X and I was like,
what do we know?
What is going on?
You're my connection now, Jack. I know nothing unless you help me understand things.
I genuinely thought she was pregnant, but apparently she's just gained a bit of weight. Apparently it's not that serious. And according to some posts that I saw, she had a wardrobe malfunction.
Oh Jesus, that's never a good thing.
Never a good thing. So her
wardrobe malfunction.
Yep, her newly sized bosoms decided to pop out. Yeah, she let one of her tits out. And people are...
But Janet Jackson did that long ago, and that wasn't a big deal.
Do you know what pisses me off about that Janet Jackson thing? She didn't rip the thing off herself.
No,
like, why didn't Justin Timberlake get any of the flack for this? Like,
right.
He's the one who grabbed it.
I'm with you.
It's like, what the hell? And when you watch the footage, Gareth, let's be honest, it's less like that. Her tit is on screen for less than a second.
But you see, people were ready to get really upset about stuff because it was the 90s. It was the 2000s. It wasn't the 90s.
Yeah, it was the 2000s.
But people just want to get upset.
Yes, they do. They do. It's virtue signaling.
It is.
And people are rewarded
like Janet
for that.
Jackson was just persona non grata. It was the most terrible thing in Hollywood ever.
Wow.
Meanwhile, you're hearing all these stories. You're like, come on.
Really?
Is this why P. Diddy changes his names all the time? He's always on the run.
Yep.
Pedo Daddy instead of P. Diddy.
Yes.
Selena gained weight from the myriad of illnesses that she has, like lupus, kidney transplant, etc.
Wow. Okay, so it's not that funny of a story anymore. Hey.
Wow.
That is hectic.
I mean, she was on Barney, never trusted that dinosaur. Well, look, now the next thing Barney the dinosaur is suspicious. Then Carl says, did you see that Nosiviwe Mapisangakula halted her arrest by going to court? Is a normal citizen allowed this privilege? They'll only make a decision after Easter, so her arrest is delayed. ANC equals corruption. I don't know. Carl, I wouldn't be able to answer that right now. I have to look into the story. You've just helped me now by telling me about this. I didn't even know. All right. Here's some news for you. A bill has been proposed in the U.S. Congress that could affect South Africa's trade relationship with the U.S. The Wall Street Journal criticizes South Africa's ties to countries like Hamas in Gaza, Russia, China. The U.S. is concerned South Africa is becoming close to countries that oppose them. The bill also mentions South Africa's domestic platforms and problems like power cuts, corruption, economic mismanagement, the bill could put a trade agreement called AGOA at risk. Well, again, did our government think that there would be no cost? You can't imagine someone comes to your house and they bring you gifts. They bring you sugar and milk and tea and coffee and all this stuff. And then you say, thanks very much. You put that stuff on your kitchen table. And then you go off while they're in your house waiting to have tea or coffee or whatever it is with you. You go off to some other neighbor and you give them some of that tea and coffee and stuff. It's bound to piss the one who's giving you the stuff off.
Yeah.
Right? I mean, your primary relationship should be with who don't bite the hand that feeds you.
Yeah.
You can't teach our government anything.
Yeah, I don't think they thought this one all the way through.
And listen, I'm not saying that we need to be friends with just America.
Yeah, of course not.
And there are probably benefits. I'm not sure what they are yet because it's all very cloak and dagger. What the benefits might be to being friends with Russia or China. But if it makes sense, I'm not opposed to that idea. All I'm saying is if you got to treat your friends like friends.
Yeah.
And if they're currently our trade friends, treat them like friends.
Treat them like friends, yeah. Seemingly the South African government don't think things through.
No,
They've decided that they
also can't manage money at all. So
they're absolutely terrible at managing money.
So
some of them put them in their couches and stuff.
Right. Wherever money can come from, they'll be your friend.
Yeah.
For that time.
Yeah. Like the worst possible kind of friend you could ever have.
So I just want to show you this quickly. Someone sent me a video yesterday of a shark being attacked by an orca.
Ooh, that looks interesting.
Yes,
That sounds
a killer
interesting.
whale.
Yeah.
Taking out a shark. I've sent this to Anthony Medera, who does shark stories with us. But this is unbelievable. So I'll put it up on the screen and then I'll describe what's happening for those people who are listening, who are not watching on YouTube. If you are on YouTube, like and subscribe. We want you to spread the word and make sure you join us every day. So take a look at this quickly and I'll explain what's going on if you are listening. Boom.
Oof.
The orca just comes and broadsides the shark. I mean, it's literally like, like a dreadnought ship would just bust through another ship that's right in the middle.
It's like a rugby tackle if fish could play rugby.
But with teeth and jaws and
just
I mean that
devastating.
Shark's not going to survive that.
No, hell no.
And I know these orcas are attacking the sharks in False Bay, for example.
Okay.
It's a big problem. People are talking about it because it's, great white sharks already endangered. So this is proof of just how deadly these orcas are.
Yeah.
Pretty bloody scary, if you ask me. And then I do have to throw this in because Prof. David Block does these trips to the Arctic, where he takes people to see the Northern Lights.
Ah, yes.
The Aurora Borealis.
That would be amazing to see in person.
And we have some listeners who went with him.
Ah, great.
So one of those listeners, in fact, there are three of them pictured in this picture, who were in the Arctic. They're at the Arctic Hotel here, I think. There's someone called Fee, there's someone called Ryan, and there's someone called Colleen in this picture. They all three listen to this show. And Colleen sent me this picture of the three of them.
That is so cool.
Cheersing us from the far northern hemisphere, from Lofoten Islands in Norway. Lofoten. That's how they say it. And this is a picture of the Northern Lights that one of them took. Isn't that beautiful?
That is absolutely gorgeous.
Unreal. And they were there on this trip with our own Professor David Block. So how cool is that? If you thought you were cool this morning,
think again.
You're not as cool as them. Yep. I mean, literally, you're not as cold as them, but you're also not as cool as them because they got to see the Northern Lights and go just about as far as you can go north.
I think I would have done myself a disservice if I don't see that before I die.
It's pretty beautiful. I mean,
it
that
looks
picture is extraordinary.
Unbelievable.
And then you also, because we maybe we should save this for Democracy 101, but what the hell? Bad news for the Good Party.
Yeah.
This is Auntie Patricia.
Auntie Patricia DeLille.
So Pumi and I were in Cape Town 2 Fridays ago, and they've got Good Party posters up in the CBD of Cape Town that says, vote for Auntie Patricia.
Auntie Patricia.
I kid you not. That's what it says on the posters.
But it kind of feels a little personal, right? It kind of feels like it's a
Yeah, it's your aunt.
nice.
That's
nice
why you must
touch.
vote for her.
Yes.
But you say things are not so good.
Yeah. So as it turns out, former Springbok coach, Mr. Peter du Toit.
Yes.
Is it?
Peter,
It is. Peter. Yeah, the one who used to speak with a very tiny voice.
Yes, that's the one.
That guy. So apparently he has been called out for misconduct, sexual misconduct.
Oh, shit.
So
And is he with the good party?
Yes, he is. So he left rugby to be a part of Auntie Patricia's
What a
party.
mess.
And yeah, he recently got kicked out of the party as a result of sexual misconduct.
Not good.
And it does not shy.
I mean, it's in the name, the good party.
It's in the good party.
You can't be in the good party if you're bad.
The good party confirmed yesterday that it had fired former Springbok coach turned politician Peter de Villiers. There you go. From the political party after its internal investigation into sexual misconduct allegations.
What is he getting a bit handsy?
Yeah. So they laid.
There's these guys who just can't keep their hands to themselves.
It's so weird, right? It makes
from P Diddy to
Peter
Divvy.
Yes. It's like it's weird. It's almost as if self-control is no longer a thing.
No, it's clearly
in
not.
this life. It's
clearly
like,
not.
how difficult could it be for you to just keep your hands to yourself? Furthermore, even when someone actually tells you that you're making them uncomfortable, why not stop?
Some of these guys just can't help themselves.
It's hubris. You are thinking that you are above everything and everyone, which is why people just continue behaving that way.
It's so much worse that it's the good party.
Can you imagine?
Because there's just no way you can spin that.
You can't.
Yeah, I mean, it's the bad party, the handsy party.
Oh my goodness. And it's like
so embarrassing. Really.
Now they're going to show up with a campaign. It's a good thing we kicked this person out when it's like, oh my God.
They always have to do that. Remember when there was that ANC situation with that one guy who at the Cubana like pushed that woman around?
Oh, yeah.
Remember that whole story?
I remember that.
Also embarrassing. And they never fired him.
Of course, they never fired him.
Yeah.
We saw the list for the ANC's election. Well, the list that they put out for the elections. How many people have
horrible
been
people there?
Like
horrible people.
It is absolutely shocking. Absolutely shocking.
Speaking of political parties, I see the DA has unveiled 11 new faces to represent the party at provincial and national level. The new candidates come after a rigorous 10-month selection process. One of them is Ian Cameron, who we've had on the show.
Yes, sir.
Leveraging his experience on the front lines of crime, Mr. Cameron has expressed confidence he will be a valuable asset to the DA. I don't know any of the others. Do you?
No, I do not. I do not.
Okay.
I actually, excuse me, I went through that list.
Thought maybe it would be someone we knew.
Yeah, I went through the list and I Googled each person just to see.
You did?
What
you
they're
did the
about.
Homework, huh?
Yeah, I checked it out. There are a couple of people on that list that have done some really cool things. But the one thing I had a problem with,
tell me,
was how the DA presented this thing. They made it seem like it's this new wave of thinking. It's like, look at how diverse we are. We've got women, white people, black people. It's this whole mixed rainbow nation. I'm like, guys,
but that's
seriously,
okay.
That shouldn't be the selling point. Are these people competent? That's the question.
I
don't care what they look like.
You know what's so interesting about all of this? And I saw Bill Maher did a whole thing on his show, which I watch fairly regularly.
Yeah.
About how the Democrats in the US, who are also obsessed with diversity and equity and inclusion.
Oh, God.
They're obsessed with it.
Yeah.
To a degree where they make a mockery of themselves. And I feel like the DA is responsible for the same thing. You don't have to make everything a census.
No.
You don't have to make everything. I think South Africans, they've done 100 different forms of survey and poll and everything else. And you can complain about those things. But not one of them said that the average South African's biggest problem is with race or with other people's race or any of those things.
Yep.
Which means, if you ask me, that we're obsessed with this thing if you're a political party and no one else. Those are the only people who are obsessed with it.
Mhm.
And I just think that this makes the DA look really, really silly.
It does. It does.
I don't know how else to put it.
Because at the end of the day, if you were to ask 100 people in this country from all 9 provinces,
Yeah.
race relations wouldn't be too high on their list of priorities, truth
Nope.
be told. Because at the end of the day, whether people are going to like what I'm about to say or not, truth is, for the most part, we all get along.
Yes. Nobody's that involved and invested in race anymore.
Nobody.
Right?
We just don't care. I would rather look, what we care about is getting the fuel price below 20 bucks, getting the bread below 20
That's
bucks.
what people care about.
That's
Yeah.
all we care about.
You're right.
So what?
I would love someone to prove me wrong. Show me a survey that has been done with more than 1,000 people where they've shown that people's biggest worry is that the DA isn't representative enough. Has anyone ever said that there aren't enough whites in the ANC?
No.
Has anyone ever said that there aren't enough coloreds in the EFF?
No.
Has anyone? It's just, this is a stupid argument.
It really is.
And I really think that the parties that focus on these things, that pander to that shit, are going to lose. It's going to cost them votes.
Yes,
It's not going to earn them votes.
Yes. And look, I'm getting a lot closer to making up my mind about who I'm going to vote for.
Mhm.
So I was explaining this to Debbie
Good
yesterday.
for you. I haven't.
I was explaining this to Debbie yesterday. So given the
Debbie,
numbers,
by the way, works in
with us
here at
yes.
the podcast party.
Right. So I thought to myself, on a national level, if I'm actually going to bring about some sort of change, looking at the numbers from the previous election, it just makes sense to vote for the DA on a national level so that there is a bit of a power shift on that level.
Are you revealing your vote right now?
Just my thought process.
For now.
My thought process.
But this could change.
It could. And
you might change your mind completely.
Completely, right? And then on a provincial level, vote for a different party entirely. But with them presenting things like this, trying to get us to just focus about race, it really puts me off.
Puts me off too.
Completely off. To the point whereby I am now having to restructure my thoughts and look at a different party more seriously. So I've cancelled out 3 parties.
Which ones are you not giving your vote to?
The ANC, definitely. It's not happening.
Shame.
Second, after that was Action SA. And it was as a direct result of Herman Mashaba's burning platform with you guys.
Oh.
As a direct result of that. Because it took him...
canceled them.
Completely. It took him 15 minutes to answer a simple question. Like, your coalition with the DA didn't work back then. How is it going to work now? It took him 15 minutes. It was like, bro. So ANC, Action SA, and now DA. It's gone. It's finished.
It's very hard to please Jack. I'm not going to comment on that yet because he may be the most informed person. I mean, he's been doing Democracy 101 with me for a couple of weeks now.
Yep.
And I actually think you listen a lot closer than most people.
I tried to.
Heard from the IEC. We've spoken to all the political leaders in the burning platform. Well, most of them.
Yep.
We're going to still speak to a few of them in the next coming weeks. So stick around for that. But right now, it is time for the window seat with travel.co.za. You can go to travel.co.za, see all the amazing things that they have on offer. And I think there are many people who may be listening to us this morning who deserve a break. So this is your chance to do it. Now, we talk to the people at Tourvest Travel Services quite often on the show.
Yeah.
Sometimes we talk about destinations. Sometimes we talk about the business of travel. Sometimes you get tips on those hacks that people don't know that will help you to make better choices about how to get the best seat, how to do this, how to do that, how to not worry about some terrible event that happens in a country where you've booked travel. And we had Claude here the other day.
So we're shooting down misconceptions too.
We're doing that too.
Mm-hmm.
But this morning, we're going to talk about something completely different. We're going to talk about first-time travelers.
Right.
And Tracy van der Berg has been here before with us. Hey, Trace, how are you? Nice to see you.
And you guys?
Good. I'm sorry
Good
that
morning.
we woke you up so
Hello,
super
Jack.
early this morning.
I'm always
But
up
you look,
early. It's all good.
you look fresh and ready to
Yeah,
answer all of our
I am.
questions.
Thank you.
Okay, and you've also brought with you Peter Moage, who started off as a driver at TTS, now owns Moage Solutions, which provides a range of services to TTS as an enterprise development partner. So it's very nice to see you, and thank you for coming, Peter. Nice to meet you. So tell us a little bit about this journey of yours. It sounds very interesting. Yeah. Tell us, how did it start? You started off driving.
Yeah, I'm started with the driving.
Just come close to the mic for us. There we go.
Yeah, I started with the driving.
Yeah.
I was a driver before.
Mhm.
And then become CEO. I'm a CEO.
Of your own,
Company.
your own company.
Yeah.
So what does Moahi Solutions do?
Enterprises, I can say 20 supply for two of us. Services, myself.
People talk about how, you know, you there are opportunities in the economy and all the rest. I've actually seen this happen, Tracy, with you guys at Tervis. So you're always looking for talent, and then what, you help these people to start their own businesses? In the case of Peter?
Yeah, in the case of Peter, yes.
Tell me.
Peter's got a special case though, because he's had a lot of his brothers that actually also worked for Tervis Travel Services for many years, I think for something like 30 odd years.
Mhm.
And with Peter, obviously enterprise development is a big deal when it comes to corporate.
Right.
And it's a good thing. It's a good thing.
But
to
a lot
help
of
people
companies
that
just talk about it.
just
They
talk
don't
about
actually
it.
do it.
Correct. We actually believe in helping people that have the talent, that have the capacity and the determination to succeed, right? And hence Peter's one of those stories. So yes, so essentially he does still supply us with our drivers. We've bought him his own fleet.
Wow.
So yeah. So
How many cars are we at here, Peter?
About 7 cars.
Jesus, that's
okay.
very impressive.
That is impressive.
So what is the First Time Traveler Initiative, Tracy?
So, I mean, I'm quite a spoilt brat actually, because I get to travel all the time. So, so essentially what we want to do, and Peter was also one of those, you know, that I took them on a trip, sent them down to Cape Town with a few other guys. And I guess for me it was, okay, Pete, you've got to go to Cape Town. You're going to do some work in our Cape Town office.
Mhm.
Here's your flight ticket. You're staying at Harbour Bridge and then you're flying back. And I didn't realize that he'd never actually been on a plane, right, Pete?
Right. So that was your first time ever on a plane?
Yeah.
Wow.
Oh, wow.
And your first time staying in a hotel?
No, it's not the first time staying in the hotel,
But definitely your first
and
flight.
been to you haven't been to Cape Town. So it was the first time he'd been to Cape Town, right? So
nice.
So that was quite interesting.
Well, I mean, I often think that, you know, those of us who, you say you're a spoiled brat, but I get to travel a lot too. You've traveled a bit, Jack.
Yeah.
But there are lots of South Africans who've never been anywhere outside of
100%.
their hometown. They maybe traveled far by car, but
Mhm.
never by plane. Maybe they haven't stayed in a hotel, any of that stuff. So, I mean, for many people, this could be the most exciting thing ever. You see those heartbreaking videos sometimes of like someone whose first experience of the beach.
Yeah.
If they've lived inland their whole life.
Their entire lives.
They've never seen the beach before. I mean,
Mhm.
that's pretty damn wild.
Yeah, so essentially that's what it is, and we want to open that or offer that opportunity to a few staff within our business as well. So sort of do another initiative, and then to open it up to other corporates and say, guys, you know, if you've got staff within your business, the tea lady, the receptionist, whoever it might be, that you actually send them on a trip, and it doesn't have to be a hugely expensive trip. You
I know that
Mm.
we were talking last year about sending Jane Malachi. She's not here this week because she's back home in Limpopo this week. But I mean, I think she would be a good candidate.
She would be
right?
amazing.
Don't you
Like,
think,
I
Jack?
can only imagine the type of videos she'd record for social media. She
She
is
would be
a
great.
ball, a major ball.
Yeah, and she makes a noise on social media. So
Yes,
I think
she
she'd
does.
enjoy this.
Mhm.
All right, so Peter, what was that first flight like? Did you enjoy it? Tell us about it.
Yes, I was yes, I don't like flying, but
Were you a bit scared and nervous?
yeah, I was so scared. But once I'm inside the plane, I was saying, no.
You realize these guys know what they're doing.
Is that the only flight you've been on so far? Or have you
Yeah.
taken more?
No, it's the second twice.
Oh, twice.
Yeah.
Yeah, it gets easier every
Yeah,
time.
Now I can travel anyway.
Ah.
Yes,
Okay, so I'm a bit of a car fanatic. So you said there's 7 cars in your fleet.
Yeah.
The models, I need to know. Which models are they?
The cars.
Yeah.
It's Toyota, the Etios.
Mm-hmm.
It's 4 of them. It's 3 of them. And then Nissan NP200 is 3.
Okay.
And then 1 Quantum.
All right. You are in South Africa. You can't.
Quantum.
So you
I
technically
can't just say Quantum.
Yeah.
But the expensive Quantum.
There you go.
but that's excellent. So technically, you're also now a taxi owner.
Yeah.
No, that one you can take it to. You can take that one to the.
Can't call that
Yeah,
one a
yeah.
taxi. No.
No.
Okay, it's too smart.
You
Too
didn't
smart.
consider you stop that one.
All right. Hmm.
Okay.
All right, very good. So how can companies get hold of you guys, Tracy, if they want to participate in this first time traveler
Look,
initiative?
I think
And what are the advantages here for them?
well, the advantages is just that they're actually doing something good for their staff, and I think that's vital. It's not always all about us and the profits and
Yeah.
that. It's giving back, and it's a small thing that you're actually giving back to somebody. So honestly, that's what's in it for you. You can get hold of me. I'm going to give you my email address, which maybe I'll leave with you guys.
Sure.
that
No, we'll put it in the show
You'll put it in the
notes.
show,
Yeah.
and then they can reach out to me. Obviously, I'll put the package together. We'll probably fly Lyft. We'll stay at Harbour Bridge. We'll get them a
Nice.
car. I'll put an entire itinerary together.
I mean, this is cool because you obviously know people, so you can
Correct.
arrange special deals. That's where the real benefit is for
Yeah.
anyone who's thinking about doing this. And also, if you've had someone work at your company for, I don't know, 10 years, 20 years, you're trying to reward them, this might be the best thing you could do for them.
100%.
Yeah, well, I don't know if people still get like a gift after 10 years of loyal service. Do
I
you
think
know?
they do. Like, don't people get gold watches when they retire? Something like that?
I
No.
don't know. That was
No,
They
the
don't?
old
No.
when your grandfather was around. Maybe I have not heard anybody.
Because
getting
weirdly,
those.
neither one of my parents got gifts or anything like that when they retired. It was something, well, it wasn't from the company, but it was from colleagues when they'd come together and put stuff together and say, hey, happy retirement or something like that. But nothing from the company itself. So I think this initiative is pretty
this
good.
is way better. All right,
so much better.
It's called First Time Traveler, and we're going to give you the details if you want to send someone from your business along on this. Really change their life because it opens your world up.
It really does.
Right, Peter?
Yeah.
Makes it exciting.
Yeah.
No.
Mhm.
And now he's busy running a whole fleet of cars.
Can you
He's got
imagine?
his own business. I love it. No,
Mhm.
this is great news. This is very, very good. Mwahi Solutions is Peter's business. And do they work just for TTS, Tracy, or does he do other stuff as well?
No, it's
Peter
only
does.
TTS.
You do lots of other work.
Yeah.
So not just TTS.
No, just TTS. Only.
Oh, it is
just
just TTS.
TTS, yeah.
Okay. Well, I mean, there's enough business there to keep you busy, right?
Mhm.
Oh, all right. This is very, very good. By the way, Tracy, I got a bit of a bone to pick with you
dear.
because I came to your office for a meeting yesterday.
Mm.
You made me a very decent coffee. I could not sleep at all last night.
But that was so early. Come on.
Hour and a hour and a half of sleep. I don't know what the hell happened.
It's not my fault.
I was lying there like this. I thought there must have been something else in that
How
coffee.
great was this coffee?
Yes,
Well, it
that's-
was a great cup of coffee.
Yeah.
I
Yeah.
mean, I don't want to do things badly.
So that means we need to pull our socks up over here because, like,
Yeah,
I brought
listen,
You know
my
what I
own
mean?
coffee. I'm not gonna lie. I did.
I don't know
bring
what was in there, but
Mm.
if I worked in your office, I'd never sleep ever again.
Yeah.
I'd be a zombie.
yeah, I mean, to me, it says you guys are so busy that you have to give people high amounts of caffeine in their coffee just so they can keep up with their daily requirements.
We're
You know what I
switching
mean?
to beers later.
Oh my word,
Yeah,
Gareth, I think
No,
I
that's the
think
truth
I
too.
need to cross the floor
No,
Mhm.
that's shame.
and go to TTS.
Sorry,
you know what I
Gareth,
mean?
I didn't do that. on
No,
purpose.
listen, I'm just, it's just a bit of feedback. We like honest feedback here.
Okay.
All right. So if you want to
Good.
get involved in the First Time Traveler Initiative, you can do that. We'll give you Tracy's details and you can get hold of her. And then who knows, you could change someone's life forever. You could make someone feel really special, really valued.
Mhm.
Just like Peter over here, Peter Mwahi. Very nice to meet you, Peter. Thank you for coming in.
Thanks, Gareth.
I mean,
Thanks,
I've met
Jack.
you before, but it's nice to have you on the show.
Yeah.
Thank you,
And
guys.
Tracy, we'll see you again soon.
Yes, for sure.
Very,
Thank
very
you.
good.
Thank
If you want to
Appreciate
know
it.
more, you can also head along to travel.co.za to make your dream holiday a reality. Thank you very much. That is the window seat for this morning with travel.co.za. We'll have a whole lot more of that in the next couple of weeks.
Mm.
And hopefully lots of cool and exciting stories. We're going to send Jane Malachi.
Yeah, that's going to be amazing.
Where should we send it to? Cape Town.
Yeah, I think Cape Town sounds like a good fit.
I
But
don't think Jane's been to Cape Town.
You don't think so? Yeah, I don't
No.
think so either.
No.
I don't think so either. But we'll have to find out. But I think it would be great if she like hits the Karoo a little bit, maybe for a little bit, and then all the way down to Cape Town. It should be like maybe 1 or 2 stops on her way down while she goes down with Moahi Solutions.
Carl says that their coffee isn't that good. It's just because I'm used to shit coffee that I scoop out of a jar like a Philistine. Carl, that is extremely rude. I do not do that anymore. You can stand up for me on this. I have the little pods.
Yes, you do.
And I make decent coffee here, but it's nothing like what I had yesterday.
How great was this cup of coffee?
I don't know if it was that. I'm blaming Tracy because she's here.
Yeah.
But you know when you're lying in bed and you see it's you start off, get into bed at like 9.
Yeah.
10 o'clock goes by, 11 o'clock, 12. You can even hear it in my voice. 1 o'clock goes by, still lying there. Like all the lights are off. It's not hot or cold. You're comfortable, but you just can't get to sleep.
And it's not like there's anything particular on your mind.
There was nothing bothering me.
Mhm.
I'm not feeling super stressed at the moment. I just couldn't get into a comfortable position. I don't know what the hell was wrong with me. I know what's going to happen, though.
Mhm.
Somewhere around 11 o'clock, I'm just going to crash.
Yeah.
Really bad.
It's going to be terrible.
I better get all of my meetings in early or move them to late.
I was actually going to ask if you've got meetings lined up for today because, wow.
Yeah, it's going to be messy.
Yeah, you've got a long day ahead of you.
Helen says when that happens to her, she gets up and does something. I thought about that, but then, if you have to be up at 4:45, which is usually the time that I'm up when we do the show from here, you can't afford to oversleep.
Yeah, you can't.
So I just lie there and hope the sleep will come and get me. But I don't know what it was. I'll try and I'll zero out all the things that I know it couldn't have been. I didn't have anything like caffeinated after 12 yesterday.
Okay.
But I did go to gym in the evening at like 6. I think it could have been that.
How?
I don't know.
It's just weird. Like sometimes I feel like your body just decides to
It's like messing with
torture you for a little
And
bit.
then I have heard all these people who say that it's the full moon or maybe that's nonsense.
Yeah, nuts to that.
Because I've had sleepless nights without the full moon, sleepless nights with the full moon.
Yeah.
Makes no difference.
Do you know what you should actually do? You should get yourself some chamomile tea.
Is this
Trust me.
Is this mother's
Yep.
advice?
Mm-hmm. It is the adult lullaby.
All right.
Mm-hmm.
Old wives' tale.
Yep. You'll go to sleep like this.
All right. We'll be back with Democracy 101 in just a short while. It is a Tuesday morning on cliffcentral.com. Don't you go anywhere. See you in a minute.
This week on the AutoTrader podcast.
In your experience, these systems have always been a hit and a miss with me. Sometimes they work really well.
Mercedes one's pretty good.
Mercedes one's good. The BMW one is pretty good. Even the Cherry one's pretty good, and that extends obviously to a Moda and Jaco as well. They're the same system. But I spent 2 weeks in Sydney recently in Australia, and they have cameras everywhere to pick up whether you are touching your cell phone while driving.
Oh, really? Okay.
So I found the Siri function on Apple CarPlay driving my brother-in-law's new BMW X1. I found that super, super handy because I would just say, I don't want to say it now in case someone's phone goes off. I would prompt the voice command system on Apple, and I would ask it to take us to a specific place or to play a specific song or to just do something for me. And I found that very useful because I was trying to obviously obey the law and avoid the fines. They fine you for everything in Australia.
Catch us every Monday at 9 a.m. on YouTube and on autotrader.co.za.
It is Tuesday morning. It's the 26th of March. And before you know it, we're going to be at the Easter weekend. You've only got today, tomorrow, Thursday.
Mm-hmm.
Then you've got Friday, Saturday, Sunday, and
And
Monday.
Monday. Yep.
Very nice.
Very nice.
Takes you into April.
Yes, sir. Yes, sir.
I'm afraid April is going to be less full of public holidays than you're used to because most of them have come into March.
Yep, they have.
But it's fine. I
It's
don't think
okay.
anyone's complaining. We're a lazy country in any case.
Mm-hmm.
People will always take an extra day wherever you can get them.
Yep.
And I'm not going to blame you. I'm not going to say there's anything wrong with that. You're
Because
allowed.
there really isn't.
No.
If you can find a gap somewhere, I say take it.
Damn
why
right.
not? Why
Damn
the
right.
hell not?
So it is time for Democracy 101. And this is where we come to grips with all the things that make our democracy work, the things that we need to understand about democracy. I see lots of questions for you about your decisions.
Yeah.
Jack, do you still have the EFF in the running, says TL?
Oh, hell no. Oh, hell.
All right. Okay.
Like communism is the last thing we need in this country. Last. I'm all right. Thank you. So we've canceled out 4.
And then Carl has some feedback for you. If chamomile tea puts you to sleep, you're not anxious enough. Have alcohol like a real man. Well, let's get back to democracy because this morning we've got quite a lot to talk about. Let's start off with a question that I've asked and I still haven't got an answer for. There are going to be 3 ballot papers in this election. And I need to know why and I need to know what they're for. And also, are they going to be a
These
kilometer long
sheets of paper?
because we have so many parties contesting the elections.
Yeah.
So to help us answer these questions, we're going to speak to the assistant manager for outreach at the IEC. His name is Moss Pitso. Moss, how are you? Nice to see you.
And good morning to listeners.
Yeah,
Good morning. How are you, sir?
Thanks for coming in. All right, so Moss, 3 ballot papers, hey?
Yes.
What is this? Because you guys just you don't think there's enough work with just the 2 that we usually have. Now we're gonna have 3. What are there 3 for?
Once more, good morning to your listeners. The 3 ballot papers essentially is to make provision for the participation of independent candidates at the national level.
So it's their fault.
Not necessarily. It's because the laws have been amended to be in line with the Constitution to give the rights that are enshrined in Section 19 of the Constitution.
All right. So, what are when we actually go in to vote? How will we know which ballot paper's which? I mean, what's going on there?
Well, like you said, the 3 ballot papers. One will be blue, which will be for the national to National Assembly, which will be contested only by political parties. It's called the compensatory ballot paper. It will be blue.
Mm-hmm.
And then the next one will be pink, which will be contested also for national, but for regional seats in the National Assembly. Remember, the National Assembly has got 400 seats.
Mm-hmm.
200 seats are those that are contested only by political parties. And the other 200 seats are contested by both political parties and independent candidates. So those would be the regional to national seats.
Mm-hmm.
Those are the ones that Jack said he hasn't decided where his vote's going to go yet.
Yeah, I haven't decided on that one yet.
Yes.
Okay, and then the third one is the independent candidate.
The third one is the independent candidates.
All right.
But it's not for independent candidates. The third one is the provincial ballot paper contested by both independent candidates and political parties.
Okay.
All right. But the one is just for political parties.
At national level,
yes.
Okay.
All right. So, Moss, are these going to be very, very big sheets of paper with hundreds of candidates on them? How do you decide who gets on?
Yeah, no, they are not going to be huge ballot papers per se, but they will be reasonably long.
Mm-hmm.
But we are going to have for the national ballot paper, that is contested only by political parties, we're going to have 2 columns. So that it's only on the same spreadsheet or size paper, but 2 columns. And then for where the parties are less, like in Gauteng, we'll just have 1 column for political parties, contesting for political parties for the provincial legislature.
Given that there's so many people running for elections, both political parties and independent, how prepared is the IEC to not get their wires crossed? Because having to deal with all of that movement with the multiple voting stations across the country, How well prepared is the IEC to handle these elections?
No, I think the IC is reasonably prepared. As it relates to voters, we're going to assist them as they get to voting stations. They're going to see a huge ballot papers on the walls that indicates where their parties are or where the independent candidates are. All the 3 ballot papers will be pasted on the walls on A1 size, so that as voters are standing in the queue, they can tell where their candidate is, so that once they get into the ballot booth, they don't have to look around, where is my candidate that I want to vote for.
Now, just while we're talking about that, so what is on the ballot paper? Because I know there used to be quite a lot of controversy around, there's a party symbol.
Yes, there is.
Then there's the name of the party.
It would be there.
And the face of the leader.
Of the party.
Right.
Yes.
So all 3 of those go on there.
They'll still be there. You'll have the name of the party.
Because I remember I think it was the IFP who complained because they didn't have, a couple of elections ago, they didn't have Mangosuthu Buthelez's face on it.
Yeah, that was at the beginning of elections.
Yeah, 94.
The issue around.
So you get to see, you see who the leader is, you get the symbol of the party, and you get their name.
Yeah, and the acronym for the party.
Oh wow! So there's 4 categories that you have to put for everyone.
Yeah, and then you'll have the box where you're going to then have to make your mark.
That actually answers the question I was about to ask, because literacy rates in this country are abysmal. So I imagine there's a couple of people that might want to vote, but they can't really read. But at least if the picture is there, then it kind of assists those people that aren't literate.
Yeah, or over and above that, the IC staff will then be assisting those that are illiterate at the voting stations.
Okay.
But they do that in the presence of party agents.
And this is always interesting to me. Blind people and, is there special ballot paper for them?
No, there isn't, but there are 2 ways that the blind person can vote, either by bringing somebody to assist them. Alternatively, in fact, there are 3 ways. Alternatively, asking the IC staff in the presence of party agents to assist them. But thirdly, we have what we call a universal ballot template. Now, universal ballot template, it's where a ballot paper is inserted. Now, it has got an open flip on the top, so that a blind voter, can tell if the whole ballot paper is inside the universal ballot template.
Okay.
Now that they can tell that first, but secondly, it will have a hole at the bottom. Now, if the blind voter can fill this hole, it means the ballot paper is facing the right way. If they can't fill that hole, it means the hole has gone inside of the flip. It means the ballot paper is turned upside down.
Yeah.
No, so we train them to know that once you get your ballot paper, you must fill that hole. Once you have you can fill that hole, it means it's facing the right way. If you can feel it on the top that it has gone through, it means all the blocks are in sync. So you are fine. Now, all you have to do is to ask in the presence of party agents, the presiding officer, to tell you political parties in terms of where they are placed on the ballot papers in terms of the numbers. Say the party number 1, number 2, number 3, number 4. Now, on this template, there is Braille. It's written in Braille, so they can read those numbers to determine where's their party.
Okay.
But over and above that, they can also use the holes where they're making a mark to determine the number, or where the political their candidate is, or the political party or candidate is. So they're going to have that template. They are given that number, and then they go into the ballot booth privately with no one around. They cast their ballot with nobody having seen how they cast the ballots and fold it.
Yeah, because I was going to say they don't want someone to be.
No one would know how they would have voted.
Right. So social media has played a major part in our lives for the better part of a decade now. And a lot of things are going to be said on the day of voting, right? On the 29th. Yes. On your social media platforms as the IEC, would you be updating people throughout the day, letting people know what's going on? And I ask this question because sometimes, far be it for me to accuse anyone of any wrongdoing, but it could happen that something goes left on the 29th. Are there channels where every day South Africans can voice their, issues or concerns on the day?
Yeah, is there like a line that you can phone or you
Or,
can
yeah,
message?
Is
Or,
there a website that we can go to?
or must
perhaps?
you talk to the electoral officer at each of the?
No,
if
you
see
can.
something suspicious.
You can actually go into the IC website, but also on its Facebook page and X. You can also go on to X page to raise those issues. But remember, there's also an issue of misinformation, disinformation, and malinformation.
Yeah.
So the IC will then have people over and above our collaboration with the service providers. We'll have people at the IC offices monitoring the discussions on the social media platforms and responding to issues if issues are based on not truth, based on lies. The IC will be able to respond to those things if they're either, like I say, it's disinformation or misinformation, or it's just a deliberate giving people maliciously information.
Okay.
What I'm always interested in with these things is, are you allowed to put an X or are you allowed to put a tick, or does it not matter as long as you make a mark in that box? Because I've heard like nonsense stories about how if you go outside of the lines of the box, they throw away as a spoiled ballot.
Yeah.
Yeah. Well,
are there any specific rules around this, or is it most of that nonsense?
No, the law says you must make a mark. As the IC, we prefer an X, because an X is allows us to determine how a voter has voted, because we can look at where the lines cross. If the lines cross inside of the box, even if the other parts of the lines are outside of the box, we are able to determine.
That's why we like
the
an
intention
X.
is there.
Yes,
right.
we can
That
see the
makes
intention.
a lot of sense. No one's ever explained that to me. That's why the X is useful.
Yes.
Okay. Did you know that?
No, I didn't.
Yeah.
Well, I appreciate the thought behind it. That's for sure. So I wanted to find out as well. So, a lot of people register at certain places, and perhaps on the day they have to travel or whatever the case may be. How do people apply for special votes and that kind of thing?
There are two things as it relates to not voting at your voting station.
Right.
One is a special vote, and one is voting at another voting station where you are not registered. So let us first deal with the voting at another station where you're not registered. You need to inform the IC where you will be, so that you are able to put your name on the list of people that are going to vote at that voting station.
Is there a time frame on this?
Yes, you open from the 15th until the 17th of May.
Okay.
15th of March until the 17th of May for you to inform us where you will be on election day, so that you're able to vote there. Previously, you could vote anywhere in the country. You just go around looking, searching for short queues, and then you'd go in there. And that created problems in terms of the issues. Remember, people will start saying there are shortages of ballot papers here and there. And to a degree, they were telling the truth, because we send ballot papers in proportion to the number of people registered at the voting station. Now you know that the voting station next to you has got 300 people registered, or you are driving past, you see there's no queue there. You go in there, you vote, and you are done. But we had sent ballot papers for 300 people there. And then before you know it, 1,000 people have gone to that station because there are no people. Before you know it, there are no ballot papers. Now you've got to run around looking for ballot papers to replenish those ballot papers.
God's sake, go to the right station.
Yeah, so you must go where you are registered.
Okay.
Hence, we have said this time, if you can't vote where you are registered, you must inform us, so that we send your ballot papers to wherever it is you want to vote. So on election day, your name will not be on the voters' roll for that voting station.
Right.
But it will be on a list of people that have applied to vote at that voting station.
Right.
So that party agents would know when you come into the station, there's a list we call the Section 24A list. There's a list of people who have applied to vote at the station, and they are not necessarily registered at the station. Those people will be on the voters' roll for that station. They'd be on that list. Now,
and the applications for that are still open, right? They opened on the 15th of March and they close on the 27th of May.
No, on 17th of May.
17th of May.
Yes.
Okay,
they
cool.
close for people to apply to vote. However, in the event that on the day of elections, you still are not at that place where you had indicated to us that you're going to vote, you can still vote at your voting station, your original voting station.
Okay.
Your name will still be on the voters' roll where you are registered. So this year, people will not be allowed to vote anywhere they like, as we used in the past. They won't, if you are not on either on that application list or not on the voters roll for that voting station, you won't vote. Now, that is the one. Now, the second one is the special votes. Now, this special votes is utilized essentially by two types of people: people who would not be at the voting station on the day of elections, or
That's like people who are working, like policemen.
Yes. Yeah. Or people that are infirmed, that are not able to go to the voting station. Now, the IC makes provision for us as the IC staff for to be able to visit those people. But for us to know these people, they must apply between 15 April and 3 May. They must apply and tell us that I'd like to have a vote either at the voting station on special voting days, or I'd like to have IEC visit me at my home to help me vote. So those are the two ways that people can vote.
And should you speak to the party agents or should you speak to the IEC?
For applying for a special vote?
Yeah.
No, you can apply for a special vote in 3 ways, either online, or via SMS, or coming to sending someone to come to our offices to apply for it, or you yourself coming to apply for a special vote.
So
now, before a step of the special vote, the special voting days are the 2 days before elections, 27, 28. Those are special voting days.
Okay.
And that will happen from 9 to 5. IEC will visit people who had applied for special votes at their homes or hospitals, or those that have applied to vote at the voting stations because they're not infirmed. They can walk to the voting stations on those 2 days.
So this is not so much a question, more than a commentary. IEC has done, voter registration online. You've just mentioned that there's a lot of communication that can happen via SMS and all of that stuff. I'm not the only one that thinks this. Why can't we just vote online? Like, I understand there could be a whole lot of verification issues and all of that stuff, but when are we going to get to a point where we can vote from home, essentially?
That's a very good question. But remember, as the IC, we implemented the law. We don't make the law.
Okay.
As the law states now, you must vote in person at the voting station. So once the law, if the law,
stop trying to change the law, Jack. You don't get to decide whatever you want.
We are in 2024, Gareth. We're gonna have to change these things.
Yeah, but remember, it's a myth that if people can vote online, that will increase voter participation. I'm sure you have that scenario at tertiary institutions where they're voting online and the voter turnout is dismal.
Yeah.
That's a very good point.
Very good point.
And thought of it that way. All right. So what is the role of these party agents? Because I find someone in the comments here says those party agents are very annoying. Therefore, my question, but they have to be there, right? So each party has the right to have someone at every station.
Yes.
And they get to observe the counting. They get to observe to make sure that there's no bad behavior going on. But they're not allowed to set up their branding within a certain range of the station. How does all that work? And who's disciplining these people? How did the IEC keep track of these party agents?
Okay, first let us start with this issue of the range where parties can put their tables. There isn't any distance that the parties can put their tables.
Oh, so they can be close.
Yeah, they can be out. All they have to do is to be outside of the boundaries of the voting station.
But they can be right there if they want to.
They can be at the gate.
Okay.
Yeah. So this issue about 500 meters and what there's nothing like that. So they must be outside of the boundaries of the voting stations. What the law requires is for them not to impede access.
Okay.
So they must not be stopping people from coming in. Now, that's the issue. Now, as it relates to party agents would be people that are monitoring the process inside of the voting station. So these people, parties will we place them behind, number one, the voters roll officer, so that they can see if the person, once the person comes in, they show their ID. And then if indeed the person on the ID is the same person as the person that is scratched off the voters roll. Parties must observe that. And then once they move that, they must they have also party agents standing behind our ballot paper issuer to make sure that the people are given the requisite number of ballot papers and the correct ballot papers. And those ballot papers are stamped. By correct, I mean they are not given two of the same. They've got to get one each.
Yeah.
One for national, for political parties, one for national, for political parties, independent candidates, and one for the province. So parties must observe that these people are getting those 3 ballot papers, and that those 3 ballot papers are stamped at the back.
Okay.
You understand? And then they must, parties are standing behind the inker to make sure that the inker inks the voter. Once the voter has been given the ballot papers, then they're able to go to the ballot booth. Parties don't follow. They don't have a party agent.
They're not allowed to
there.
follow you in there.
Yeah, no, do not have party agents there. We don't even have IC staff there. But we have a monitor that monitors that once a voter votes, and they don't leave, signs or markings in the ballot booth, but that the voter fold all the 3 ballot papers that we must see that they leave the ballot booth. Yeah, our ballot booth will be what we call ATM style.
Okay.
They'll be standing in such a way that all of us can see the back of the voter.
Okay.
You understand? The voter won't be behind. All of us can see the back of They must come out with the 3 ballot papers and go to the 3 ballot boxes.
A lot of people watching you when you vote.
Yeah,
yep.
And put their ballot papers, and then there'll be a ballot box, a monitor that monitors that. In fact, the person puts all the ballot papers. They don't leave the voting station with the ballot papers. So over and above the monitors, which are party agents, we have observers. Now, party agents, because they're monitoring, they can object. Because they're monitoring to see if we are doing our work according to the law. They can object if they think things are not going right. They have a presiding officer where they can raise the issues with. Then we have got observers, which are either domestic observers or international observers. These are the people that also are in the voting station to observe that indeed we are doing our work in terms of the law. And all they have to do is to observe, not to object, not to participate in any way. Observe and write their reports and submit their reports, not to us first, but to everybody, to say we have observed this election. This is our take on the outcome of the election before they give the IC that report.
And it's interesting because the DA got into the news not so long ago for requesting people from the US to come down to observe our elections. So I'm glad that you brought that up. So this might sound like a stupid question, but I'm going to ask it anyway.
Don't worry, there are a couple of questions from people who are listening here as well. There is no stupid question, so go ahead.
So I am very cognizant of alcohol and drug use in this country. Are there any safeguards to someone perhaps walking into the voting station inebriated or, high on some sort of
what do we do?
What do we do with those kind of people? Do we just let them go on with their vote, or is there some sort of mechanism that is employed that says that you have to show up at least sober to vote?
No, the law says the right to vote is universal to all adults,
even drunks.
Even drunks. The only issue is if you are causing commotion at the voting station, then we'll ask the security officers to remove you.
Okay.
Commotion.
Yeah. So Joe, there you have it, guys. Don't show up drunk.
I didn't even consider that. That's a very good point. So here's some other things I hadn't considered. Donna says, I heard if you don't place your vote goes to the leading party in that area. Is this true?
No, that's a myth. It's a myth because we only count votes that are in the ballot box at the voting station. So once we have counted the votes that are in the ballot box, party agents are allowed to sign the result slip, three types of result slips. One, not only party agents, but also agents of independent candidates. One is a dummy ballot paper where all the information after counting is placed. It's a dummy ballot paper. If they agree with the information that is on the dummy ballot paper, then they sign. That information is then moved onto the ballot paper, the result slip. No, so one will be a dummy result slip, and then that information is moved to the actual result slip. But that actual result slip, there will be two of it. Two of the same.
Okay.
2 for the national, 2 for the regional, and 2 for the provincial. Now, party agents must sign the dummy result slip and those 2 if they agree with the information that is on the ballot on the result slips.
Right.
Now, once we have done that, that result slip, one, the dummy will remain in the diary of the presiding officer. The one result slip will be pasted on the outside of the voting station. Anybody that walk past can go there and see how parties have, or every contestants have fared. And then the third one will then be taken to the IC office, where it's going to be scanned into the system. And then once we scan it into the system, we then punch the numbers that are on this result slip that is scanned into the system. We punch them now on the result system, so that that information is transferred into the result system. Now that result slip can be viewed by all parties. They have access to the system, so they can see how we have contested. They fight as parties, and they can object if the information that is on the result slip is not the same as the information that is punched in by the IC. But remember, party agents would have also taken pictures of the result slips.
Okay.
Now, once we have all those numbers, then we determine who has won and who have lost. Now, the fact that you have not voted, your vote cannot be counted because it's not there.
It's not there. So and that myth is it runs rampant. A lot of people believe that if you have cast a vote before and you choose not to vote in a following election, the ruling party somehow takes your vote. So thank you for dispelling that myth. I wanted to find out, as far as the vote counting is concerned, does it happen at the voting station, or are those ballot boxes removed from the voting station and then counted at a different place?
We again, like, there are all these urban myths. So this is these are not stupid questions.
Yeah.
We've heard stories about, oh no, they get taken somewhere else for the count. That's not true, right? It happens at the station.
No, it's not true. Once voting is concluded, we then turn the voting station into a counting station.
Okay.
So party agents will still be there. However,
is that your phone?
I don't think
Don't worry, it happens.
It happens. It's
to all
all
of
right.
us.
still directing me here.
Oh, is that your direction?
Yeah.
Yes, it's still bringing me here.
All right, go on.
You understand? Yeah. So, what was the issue, so that I don't miss it again?
The vote counting.
Yeah, it happens at the voting station.
Okay.
Yeah. What is going to happen? That station is then set up in the presence of party agents to prepare it for counting. In the event that we are unable to count at the voting station, we would indeed remove those ballot boxes.
So what would those conditions be if, for example, there was a fire or something like that, right?
Yes, or the environment is not conducive for us counting there. There would be some form of violence and rioting outside. Would in the presence of the party agents, would move those ballot papers or ballot boxes to a different venue where we're going to count. And in that instance, we allow party agents or parties to give us 4 agents now to come and observe this process at the voting station. If we have not changed, the voting station becomes a counting station. We give them 2. We allow them 2 party agents to come and observe.
Okay. How open is the IEC to having civil society, if I can put it that way, to take part in the entire process? So I'm Jack. I want to vote. I'm registered. Everything is great. I go there, I cast my ballot, but I also want to be involved in other ways to actually see the entire process holistically.
What you mean, as a volunteer, or just because you're a busybody?
Oh, yeah. If you're both, actually. If you want to volunteer, or you are a busybody, or you are a wannabe journalist trying to figure out the entire process, you just want to learn what the IEC is all about. Is there an open invitation for people like that?
Yeah, there is a way that you can do it through being an observer.
Okay.
You can, a civil society organization, when you talk about what you call domestic observers, we're talking about all these civil society organizations, churches, NGOs and all, they apply to be observers. And then the IC accredits them as observers. And then they speak to a person like you to represent them as an observer, to go and observe on their behalf and come back with a report. But
Okay.
for political parties, remember, political parties
You already have their
they use agents,
Yeah.
which would ordinarily be people that supported that party that want to come and observe this process.
But surely by now you would have already have made yourself available. I mean, you wouldn't do this at the last minute,
no.
would you? You wouldn't go and do it on voting day. Hey, I'm here to help. That's suspicious.
Very
No,
suspicious.
in fact,
Ah,
in fact,
they're trying to get you to change your direction here.
Yes, they are.
in fact, we've been going around training party agents.
How does that work?
We train as the IC. We
Because here's a question from Durban Dope. He says, this is the kind of thing that people pick up, right? He says that last time he went to vote, the ANC people were sleeping under a tree. So I don't think it's just the ANC. There's sometimes other parties too. But in this case, he says it was the ANC people who were sleeping under the tree.
So remember, there should be a distinction between party volunteers or workers and party agents.
Okay.
Party agents are inside of the voting station.
Mm.
Those are the people that monitor the process. Those that are standing outside of the station are those that are, hyping their political parties, hyping the independent candidates, assisting if they want to assist people to check if they're on the voters' roll and things like that. But those are not party agents.
Mm.
The party agents are inside of the voting station.
Now, a lot of people choose to protest in a variety of ways. What happens to the spoiled ballots? Like if someone decides to ruin their ballot on the day of voting as a form of protest or civil disobedience,
Sure.
what happens with those ballots?
Those people are not assisting in building our democracy. Because without people determining who becomes government, anybody can be government. Now,
Mhm.
if you have spoiled your ballot paper, you are just the same as the person who did not go to the voting station. Because that ballot paper is not counted towards determining who becomes government.
But some people think it's a legitimate form of protest. I mean,
Yeah.
that's where Jack's not wrong.
Yeah, a lot of
You know?
people are of the opinion that
Yeah.
instead of casting your vote for any of the political parties that are in the running,
You don't believe
You
any
just-
of them are doing the right thing, so you spoil your ballot.
you choose to spoil your ballot.
Yeah, as I'm saying, you are not assisting in our democracy because we have not voted. There's no difference between you and the person that is sitting at home, not going to the voting station. There's absolutely no difference because that ballot, we're going to count it as spoiled and it won't assist in us determining who becomes government. Whatever issues that you are complaining about will remain. They won't change.
Yeah, that's true.
Because you would have changed nothing.
But you know, Jack might be one of those principled, irritating people who thinks that it's important for him to, I'm going to complain by spoiling my ballot.
Yeah.
No.
What do you do? What do you do with
complained?
What do you
have
do with
done nothing.
what do you do with the spoiled ballots?
We
though?
just count it as spoiled.
Oh, and then do you keep them with the others?
Yeah, we put
Okay.
them in an envelope for spoiled ballot papers.
Mm.
In fact, we get with a rubber band for spoiled ballot papers. Those that have been cancelled, if people have made a mistake, we put them in an envelope. But if you have spoiled your ballot, you are as the same as the person who has not voted
At all.
And whatever issues that you are complaining about will remain the same. They won't change because you have not utilized your vote to change them.
Interesting.
And there are a number of ways of spoiling your ballot, but you give us a pen in the booth.
Yes.
You mustn't bring your own pen?
No.
Oh.
There will be a pen in the booth.
Okay, because there's someone here who says, what if I throw orange paint on it? But you won't be allowed to bring in orange paint.
Yeah.
And you still mark the people's finger with
Yes.
that indelible ink.
The thumbnail.
Ah, okay. How long does that last?
Well, to some people last month.
Yeah.
It depends on
It takes forever.
Because they don't wash their hands.
Yes.
Yeah.
Even if you wash your hands, it
All right.
takes a long time.
Now, just to go back to the ballot papers, the design of the ballot papers, who does all of that? How does that work?
The IC designs the ballot paper depending on the number of candidates on the ballot paper. And then we take it out for printing, but we design the ballot paper.
Mm.
Hence, we're able to tell you that this year is going to be, the national one will be 2 columns because of the number of parties, and the provincial one will be 1 column. And the regional ones, depending on the number of people contesting, maybe just be 1 column.
Very good. Well, I think that's a lot to take in, but
Quite a bit.
we are trying to make everybody aware of whatever's going on here. One or two quick last questions before we let you go. Someone has to ask Moss what that ink actually is. It ain't no normal permanent marker. What is in there? Silver nitrate?
Now, I wouldn't know the contents, but what I know, it's indelible ink.
Mhm.
It's an ink. Once we put it there, it won't. You won't be able to move it. Hence, we must spend like a 1 or 2 seconds after we put it. We must spend 1 or 2 seconds so that it dries quickly, and then you can move on. And but also so that it does not dye your ballot paper. But once it's there, it will last, like I said, times months on other people.
Depends how clean you are. Just one last comment for you, because I think this is a very good point. And, you know, you guys at the IEC have been tremendous. You've been here anytime we've asked you to come. And I saw this comment from Carl earlier. And Carl is one of our listeners he complains about everything. But he says, every time you have someone from the IEC on, I feel more confident about our ability to do this thing properly. So nice job.
Very good job.
High praise coming from Carl there. But thank you, Moss. Very good to have you here. Moss Pitso is the Assistant Manager of Outreach at the IEC. And we have another episode of Democracy 101 to help people cast their votes properly. Thanks for the good work you guys are doing. Thank you, Moss. Very nice to see you.
Very much.
Thank you, guys.
Moss Pitso. And that is Democracy 101 for this morning. Very good to see you. Thanks, Moss. Very good. Just hang around. We want to do a picture with you afterwards.
Yeah.
Don't run away straight away. We've also got some more to do, so we're not finished quite yet. And we'll find out all about that in a short while. Are there any other things that you needed to know? Because really, we've asked them about drunk people. We've asked them about the ink.
Yep.
We've asked them about the party agents.
All of it.
They can set up right outside.
Exactly. That was a bit of an eye opener too. Like I actually thought they would have some sort of restriction as to where these parties are allowed to show up to outside of their agents. That is. So that was very eye opening. But truth be told, like the drunk question, like I have some genuine concerns about this.
I don't think drunk people should be allowed to vote.
I don't think so either, because
they don't seem to me to be very professional or thoughtful people. These are not the guys that you would trust to make the right decision.
Yeah, and in my neighborhood, sometimes on like during the week, you'll wake up at like 8, 9 in the morning, and someone's already drunk at that point in time. So, given the fact that the 29th is going to be a public holiday as well.
Oh yeah,
that is like it's a recipe for South African drinkers to get their drink on and then decide to go vote. And if you are stumbling into
10 really drunk people all go and vote, and they make their mind up because they're drunk, they all vote for whoever's at the bottom or the top of the ballot paper.
My goodness.
I suppose your vote counts.
Yeah. I mean, it'll have to, seemingly. But, excuse me for being worried.
Clearly, it's not a problem. You can go high.
Yeah, you could.
You could. I think there are public indecency rules, so you can't pitch up naked.
Yeah, of course.
For example.
Yeah.
But
like, please keep your clothes on.
They'll pretty much let anyone vote.
Seemingly. Like if you're on the voters roll and you're allowed. You've got a pulse and you can walk to the voting station. Go nuts, man. Go crazy.
And there are obviously going to be lots of people. I like the way he's like, no, spoiling ballots, waste of time.
Yeah.
You're not really participating.
But I mean, like on some level, I feel like you're participating more than someone who chose not to vote at all.
Except nobody actually knows that you protest. You come out of there and you're like, I spoiled my ballot. I'm a principled person. Who cares?
But here's my question, Gareth. What if it happens that you've got 1 million spoiled ballots?
Carl says a drunk person voting DA or Action SA is better than a sober person voting. Yeah, well, Carl's clearly very biased here.
Yeah, very, very, very biased.
Don't you tell the drunks what to do, Carl.
Yeah.
Leave them alone. What were you saying now? You said the spoiled ballots. What if we have 1 million of them?
Yeah. What happens then?
Well, then that clearly shows that there are 1 million really pissed off people in this country.
And I think
that's a valid.
They did something to show their level of discontent, and
for sure
they used it by spoiling their ballots. I think if the number is high enough, it's something we should all look at and have a genuine conversation about. It could be that there are people who actually want to take part in the electoral process, but they're just not happy with the options that they have.
They think the political parties are all rubbish.
There you go. And for me personally, I feel like we've got way too many of them to start with. And science will tell you the more options you have, the more difficult it is for you to make one choice. So
there is something else. Dan Moyane said the other day when he was on with us, that he has a framed ballot paper from 94.
Yeah.
So I wonder, I mean, I don't think you're allowed to take any of these out during the voting.
I don't think so.
So not on election day, but there might be some left over afterwards. I wonder if you could buy those.
I wonder.
Or just get them for free. Because they're going to be a bunch that'll... Remember the last time those guys were here, they told us how many they print. They print like 90 million.
Yeah, it's insane. It's a lot.
Ballot papers.
Yeah.
So it's a huge amount of paper. So just in terms of logistics, paper, ink, printers all over the country who are busy doing this stuff. And then, of course, they've got to be legit because you can't have them printing extra ones.
Of course.
It's like this is a major process.
It is.
Honestly, I agree with Carl and what he said earlier. I feel much more safe and secure about our democracy knowing that the IEC are in charge.
Definitely.
I was very worried about them. Someone came to see me last year and they're like, oh, no, but they're going to rig the election, whoever they are. And the IEC are in on it. I got to tell you, after meeting these guys and after hearing about the process, they answer every single question. They've got people at every stage who are going to make it impossible for anyone who really wants to bring about voter fraud.
Yeah.
It's going to be a very difficult thing to do. Let's not say impossible, but there's a huge probability that it is highly unlikely to be able to succeed.
Yep. And the fact that they've brought in different people from different levels within the IEC, all of them keep saying the exact same thing.
Yeah.
There isn't a deviation.
There's consistency.
So I have full trust in them.
I mean, there might be some terrible, terrible place somewhere in a far-flung corner of South Africa where no election observers are, where none of the party agents come, where the IEC guy has been bribed.
Or some nonsense like that. Yeah.
There's a small potential for that to have occurred in some terrible part of South Africa.
Yeah.
But frankly, that terrible part of South Africa, they deserve whatever they get because they're so terrible and far-flung and nobody cares.
You know what? It actually just dawned on me. There was a question I forgot to ask. Like cell phones, man. In the previous election, I saw a couple of people posting the
pictures.
The pictures of the ballot itself.
Technically, you're not meant to do that.
See? I wanted to find out what kind of legal recourse there is for that.
All right, well, I'm going to let you.
That one in the chamber.
Keep that one in the chamber. Jack Montante, thank you very much. That's Democracy 101 for this morning. Got something cool to tell you about today. And this is really involving one of our friends who's been on the show many times. We know him well. He is none other than Jaco Voigt. He is, of course, from Catalytic, and he does a show called Unbundled. And we're talking today about Perfect Works Consulting and also the stuff that happens with Cisco community programs and skills development. So we're going to talk about small businesses, which are the backbone of South Africa's economy. And for those people who are listening to us, and I know there are lots of small business owners who listen to our show on Cliff Central, this is really for you. As a small business, you might face significant risks in the digital age. We've talked often about cyber threats, and they could have the power to cripple just about any business, especially a small business, because you might not have a huge department of people who take care of this stuff. Even the most resilient businesses could be taken out by this stuff. Global studies show a staggering 61% of businesses couldn't recover after an attack or a data breach. That is a very scary number. So to help us understand this and make some sense of it, I'm going to welcome again Jaco. How's it, Jaco Voigt? How are you, sir? It's nice to see you.
Well, and you?
Yeah, very, very good. So you've been busy. I heard that you were on some race over the weekend. Just let's deal with that first.
I was in Eastern Cape in Adu, in the Elephant Park.
Yes.
In St. Parks. I was saying to Conrad now when we got there, it was quite hot. So on Friday it was like a sweltering 44 degrees, and there's the guys that do 100 miles.
44 degrees,
and they kicked off 160 kilometer race in 44 degrees. I only did 50, so it wasn't that far. But yeah, it was.
Did you win?
Well,
You know
if you
my
ask
feeling
me-
about these things.
If
I
you
always
ask
say,
me, then I won, but I
Okay.
wasn't first. No.
okay, I always say if you didn't come first, you should have stopped halfway through and gone home. But well done, Jaco. That's very good. So let's just talk about this frightening number that I just read out now. Global studies show staggering 61% of businesses could not recover after an attack or data breach.
So, Gareth, so number one, as you rightly pointed out, we always talk about our important small businesses. And I think from a tech perspective, there's always a perception that small businesses, I almost want to say, should buy down. That the big global tech giants, the likes of Cisco, is almost it's unobtainable for them. It's too expensive for them and stuff like that. And I think part of what we're focusing on now and what we're doing is to say, listen, understand what's available in the market, and if you look at guys like Cisco specifically, they've launched specific ranges for small businesses. So like we've got some of those Wi-Fi access points in here. You've noticed what the difference was when we put that in.
Huge difference.
And I think that's the key point for us is those bad things happen to small businesses as well. And when it happens, exactly that. The big guys have deep pockets; they can recover.
Sure.
If you're a small business and you didn't put the best tech in, it's probably going to be a lot harder to recover. And I think that's part of the key message that we're putting out there.
Well, I want to talk to Conrad in a minute, and I'm going to introduce Conrad to everybody in just a second. He's the leader of country digital acceleration for Cisco in sub-Saharan Africa. It's nice to see you here, Conrad. But I want to read this out quickly. Another scary number. South Africa has emerged 6th most targeted nation worldwide for cyber attacks. Is that true?
Yeah.
6th.
Yeah.
We often complain that we don't come first, but this is not a list we want to be on. Not that high up.
Exactly that. And again, if you look at our at the way the economy is structured, small businesses make a massive portion of our economy. So, and I think part of the reason why we also target it is because it's easy. If people don't pay attention to putting the right tools in place, we will be high up on the list.
So, Conrad, welcome to the show. And how do you guys at Cisco handle this stuff? Because as Jaco said, a lot of small businesses don't realize how dangerous this could be. And they often think they're too insignificant to be on the radar for cyber criminals, but that's not the case.
Morning, Gareth. No, it's definitely not. And I think, from our point of view, we obviously have an entire portfolio that speaks to the SMB. I think for us, it's all around education as well. So I think, it starts with our SMME development programs, raising that awareness and visibility, but also getting the message out there. So from our side, we have a secure SMB portfolio that really focuses on the small business. And it starts from, small device protection, user protection, so making sure that the person that logs in and, authenticates is authenticated.
You've just made me think now. I mean, it's not just big networks that accompany. It's your phone.
Yep.
It's your phone. And for most of us, our phone is the place we do a lot of business.
Yes.
Correct.
I was messaging you last night.
Yeah.
Jaco. So, I mean, that's how we do business these days, right? So this is important. You need to know what protections you have.
Correct.
Gareth, for me, around that is the visibility. So if you look in the Cisco, in that SMB stable, there's a lot of Cisco's done a lot of good work around dashboards that gives you visibility. And for me, when we installed it in our office back in the day, probably about 5 years ago, we went with the Meraki range, which is we in the upcoming projects that we have, we will delve a lot into that and do a lot of work around the education.
Right.
I mean, that's obviously part of what we're talking about today is we've got some exciting work we're doing with Cisco where we can have probably about five or six episodes where we talking to customers around what's available in the stack. And I remember the first time when we installed it in our office, we were about, let's say 50 staff. So you go 50 staff, you think there's maybe 50, 60 devices on the network. The first day when we installed it, 163. So you go like,
wow.
Is
that people's phones, iPads,
all of that type of stuff?
laptops?
We had some guys that brought their home computers to the office so that they could download movies or update their computers because the bandwidth at the office is better than at home. So that visibility, you actually get shocked. You go like, flip, I thought I was catering for 50, 60 devices. I'm triple that amount.
And for a cyber criminal, that's triple the opportunity.
Exactly that.
Right, because they only have to find one weak link.
Exactly that. Exactly.
All right, so I'm excited about the fact that we now can delve into all the details around these products, around what it is you guys do at Cisco, Conrad. But I mean, you've spoken to people on your show on Unbundled about cybersecurity. We've got a whole catalog of really, really interesting stuff. What are you looking to learn from this?
So I think this upcoming initiative that we're doing is obviously in conjunction with Cisco. So we will be talking product specific, which typically we don't normally do, but we're going to go into trying to make a very technical world very understandable for the business owner. So what we're trying to do is explain to the business owner, because in the SMB space, that's typically where it sits in that business owner or the FD.
Yeah, they're the ones who have to make the decision.
Exactly. Right? And now I think we're obsessed about the fact that we don't want to over technify it and make it too complicated. So we're gonna delve into some of that, the products, and then make it simple to understand and understand the benefit of it. And again, like I'm saying, we want to break the perception or the mold, this mold that Cisco is only for big business, which it's not.
So, Conrad, I imagine it's not just the products, but it's also training people and getting them to understand the products, right? So you guys help with that too?
We do, Gareth. So as part of our country digital acceleration program, we've created a number of innovation centers. In the innovation centers, we help with certifying SMMEs and upcoming businesses through the program. So we get them certified across all the different technology areas. Cybersecurity right now is a very big focus. We just concluded an entire cybersecurity cohort, actually. We trained 30 companies to look at cybersecurity. On the back of that, obviously, we have, I'm going to say citizen enablement as well, where we have publicly available training, and I think that's the big thing here as well, is just from a citizen visibility point of view, etc. If we raise that awareness, hopefully we won't be number 6 on the global list for much longer, right?
Yeah, I don't like that number at all.
Yeah, same with us. And that's really where it starts. So we drive all of that continuously through all of our innovation and incubation centers, and we're continuing to build those out across the country as well.
What are these hackers? What are these crooks looking to do? Steal your money, shut down your business, ransomware? What are they doing?
I think ransomware is probably the most predominant thing that I hear about when we talk about it, and that's basically where they lock all of your systems in your business, and you have to pay them to unlock it. And that happens to actually a lot more frequently to people that I know. I think 5 years ago, we would have heard of somebody, maybe a big international company. Now it's people that we do business with, where they phone and say, listen, I got ransomware, I'm locked out of my system. It takes a week or two to recover from it if you can. And again, Jesus. all of that, and I mean, we know anything human is not 100% bulletproof. So you can always still get it, but that's part of the fact that, and I mean, how passionate we are about small businesses. As a small business, just because you're a small business doesn't mean that you shouldn't pay attention to those type of things. No. So that's and again,
the
that's
opposite's probably true.
Exactly
right?
that, and that's where the Cisco suite comes into play. Where you from your firewall, which is sort of your gateway to the internet, if I can call it that, to even some software overlay where it looks at those systems and helps to protect it. It's a big global company that's obsessed about security, and I think that's part of the reason why we're so excited about this initiative that we're launching with Cisco.
I think it's terrific. All right, I'm looking forward to it, guys, and thank you for coming in on this show to tell us about it, Jaco. Conrad, we'll get to know you properly, and we'll get to hear all about what you guys are doing at Cisco in the next couple of episodes.
Looking forward to it.
I look forward to it too. Let's get off that list at number 6. And I see here also, just to make it even worse, Accenture's cost of cybercrime study has revealed 43% of businesses fall victim to cyber attacks each year. 43% of these small businesses.
That's almost one in two. Yeah.
Yes. Now I'm paranoid.
Oh, and rightly so. People should be. And again, that's part of the thing that we talk about often is I think we're going to educate business owners in a fun, easy to understand way. We're not going to be overly technical, and come view the episodes. We're gonna do some competitions where businesses can win stuff. So in other words, if you pay attention to what it is that we're teaching, and you let us maybe do an assessment of your environment, there's prizes up for grabs. So we're gonna do very, very nice stuff on the Real Network
very good.
In the coming weeks.
Absolutely. And Jody says here, hackers make between 5 and 20 daily attempts to access Jody. This is Jody, just their Microsoft account.
Yeah.
And their location varies from Canada, Russia, Vietnam, Netherlands, London, everywhere.
No, that's and again, that's why your hardware and software combination of what you deploy in your business, there's tools that can protect you against that.
Are you guys always working on trying to resolve new, because these hackers are smart. They're always coming up with new ideas, right?
Definitely. So, I mean, from Cisco's point of view, we have the largest threat intelligence organization globally, a company called Cisco Talos. And to give you an idea, we kind of combat about 6 billion attacks daily.
You're like the FBI of hackers.
Pretty much, yes. So we always have the visibility on what's happening in real time. And, the benefit for us through that threat intelligence engine is that we can drive the protection through all of our product suites, to keep everybody safe in real time, pretty much.
Conrad Steyn, it is a pleasure to meet you, and I know that we're going to have lots to talk to you about. I'd rather have you on my side than not. That's for sure. Jaco, we'll talk to you in the next couple of days.
Perfect.
Fantastic. I look forward to it. Thank you, everybody. We will see you tomorrow. Don't go away. Lots more on The Real Network and on the podcast party. Things like Democracy 101. All kinds of good stuff. Stick around.